All right, welcome. Hope you all are having a good evening. My name is Carrie DeGraffenreid, and I'm the Assistant Director for Transfer Recruitment and the Visit Center at Missouri S&T. And today we are pleased to be offering this Q&A and information session on faith and service opportunities at Missouri S&T. So today we have 5 of our current students that are here to introduce themselves to you and then just give a little bit of background on, what their experiences have been, what they've been involved in. And then after they introduce themselves, we will open things up for questions. So we plan to utilize the chat feature for questions. So just anytime throughout our session here, put your questions in the chat and I will moderate and we will try to answer as many of them as we can. We hope that this will last right about 30 minutes. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. And Audrey, will you begin, please?
Yes. Hello, my name is Audrey Powell. I am currently a junior at Missouri S&T studying civil and architectural engineering, and I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. A couple things that I've been involved in that include like service and faith. I've done like the Gonzo Gives Back Day of Service. I've done Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. Those are both service days that the campus hosts. And then I've also been Vice President Community Service for my sorority. So I actually ran a couple different service events and organized community service opportunities for other girls in my sorority. And then I've also been a part of Minor Challenge. And unfortunately I did it the COVID year, so I wasn't able to actually go on the trip, but I did do everything leading up to the trip. So all of the planning and preparation and some additional community service projects for that. And then I've also been involved with Christian Campus Fellowship in the past. So I've done a couple different things with them. So if you have questions about any of that, feel free to ask.
Hi, my name is Catherine Coletti. I'm originally from the St. Louis, Missouri area. I'm a junior majoring in ceramic engineering and minoring in engineering management. I've co-opted in the past and I'm currently on co-op, but on campus I'm involved in a couple of material science organizations, the Concrete Canoe team, and I'm also involved in the Rolla Catholic Newman Center. And the Newman Center puts on all kinds of different events. We'll have a retreat each semester. And that's been really, really wonderful. The fall retreat my freshman year was wonderful from a faith perspective, and I also got to meet a lot of really great people. We'll have Bible studies, we'll have men's and women's night, and a variety of different game nights, which has been a really great time. And I've made a lot of really great friends through that group.
Hello, my name is Dalton Brown. I am actually a senior this year studying civil and architectural engineering. I am actually from Mount Vernon, Missouri, which isn't too far away from Rolla, which is pretty cool. I'm also involved with a couple of different things on campus, like Concrete Canoe Design Team, the American Society of Civil Engineers, Architectural Engineering Institute, and then also Christian Campus Fellowship. With Christian Campus Fellowship, I've actually stayed at the Men's House, which is approved campus housing. From that, I was able to get involved with a lot of different things, was able to make some really good connections. We always do small groups every week. Each semester you can sign up for a different one, so you can get a lot of topics throughout your career here. You can also go to the worship service that's every week, and then they also do service events throughout the year.
Thanks, Dalton. My name is Caden Kessinger, and I am a senior majoring in chemical engineering and engineering management as well. I'm originally from Brighton, Illinois, which is about, I guess about an hour and a half north of St. Louis, an hour south of Springfield. And as far as some of my interesting things, I've had 2 internships, one at Mississippi Lime, one at Prince Minerals. And then I also just finished up a co-op last semester for ICL Group in St. Louis. For on-campus involvement, I was student body president last year. That was really fun, but a lot of work. And I've also been an RA for a couple of years in both Thomas Jefferson and Residential Commons, those residence halls. As far as specifically faith extracurricular activities, I was involved in Lutheran Student Fellowship, or LSF, for several years. And I've also been to Geeks for God and Campus Crusade for Christ meetings and activities as well. And for service stuff, I've done MLK, Day of Service, and all those kind of service organizations that are done by our Student Life office. So had a lot of great opportunities, and I look forward to sharing them with you.
And my name is Caitlin. I am a senior this year in biochemical engineering. I have minors in biomedical engineering and chemistry. And I'm from Springfield, Missouri. That's where I'm at right now, joining remotely. So as far as faith and service organizations, I am the vice president of the Baptist Student Union. We call it the BSU. So similar to CCF and a lot of our other campus faith-based organizations, we do have a worship service every week. We have small groups every week. I actually lead a women's small group, which is a lot of fun. We also do a lot of service opportunities. We get to travel a lot. So some cool things that I've done almost every year, except for this year because COVID, we've gone on a disaster relief trip. So that usually involves us going down to like Texas. We've been to North Carolina before and rebuilding houses after being damaged by hurricanes. So it's a really cool opportunity. I never saw myself like putting up drywall as a chemical engineer. It's just not my thing. But they teach you a lot while you're there. And it's really great to be able to just minister to the families. We also do a yearly trip to a nursing home around St. Pat's, which is a lot of fun. We go stay there. It's really, really sweet getting to interact with those people. And we do international missions every couple years. This spring of 2019, I think was the last time we went. I got to go to Honduras and we stayed down there and was able to minister to some families in a hospital. So a lot of really cool travel opportunities. I've loved my time at the BSU, so feel free to ask any questions.
All right, thank you all very much for that introduction and background. Like I said before, we're going to use the chat for questions. We've already got a couple that came in that we'll start with, but for any other questions that you think of, continue to throw them in the chat. You can post them there for the group or just send them to me directly, whatever you prefer. All right, so to get started, first is a question about Catholic, or is there a Catholic Mass service on campus, or is there a church nearby to attend Mass?
Yes, there is. So the Catholic church in town is St. Patrick's. It's right up the hill from campus. So it's actually closer to where I've lived than a lot of parts and areas on campus. So it's really close, definitely walking distance. And the Newman Center, which is the student center associated with that church, is right across the street from there as well. So also super close. And the Newman Center has certain student masses. They'll have a Wednesday night mass, which is typically at the Newman Center. And then there is a 7 p.m. mass over at the parish that are kind of geared towards students, but open to everyone along with the parish's normal mass schedule. And there will also be different times for adoration at the Newman Center and other prayer nights throughout the semester.
All right, thanks, Catherine. Caitlin, all of those different activities and service that you just mentioned, were those all part of the Baptist Student Union?
It is all a part of the Baptist Student Union. So we stay pretty busy. There's all kinds of stuff to do. Like I said, we usually do the one disaster relief trip a year, which is in country, but you're going to get to travel. Every couple years, we'll do an international missions trip. I think it's also important. I didn't pay anything to go on that trip. So our churches in the area are super, super supportive of us going on missions. We also do stuff in the rural area too. I really didn't mention that, but we've done work with the Mission, which is a homeless shelter in town. A lot of us have pen pals with like nursing home residents, which is super cute and sweet. So we do a lot. So if you want a place to always be able to plug in and stay involved, definitely check out the BSU.
Thanks, Caitlin. And then for the rest of you, for the service-specific activities, can you be more specific with what some of the activities you did were? I also think it would be helpful if you would explain like what the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service actually is. You know, what organizations have you supported, or what, you know, groups have you supported when you've done your service, things like that.
Sure, I can talk about that, Carrie. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service is a day of service. We are actually, we don't have class Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so instead we honor the memory of Martin Luther King Jr. by giving back to the community. And there's all sorts of people on campus. I think they postponed this past one for COVID reasons. And they had virtual opportunities for service. But the year before that, I participated, and I want to say there was upwards of 200, maybe even more than that, of students just participating. I know there were several, there's more than 10 teams of at least 15 to 20 students. So there's a lot of people involved in this. And each team will go to a certain area or a certain enterprise organization all across Phelps County or the greater Rolla area. So one of them will be the mission, which is kind of a homeless shelter stroke food pantry in Rolla, and you would either clean for them or you'd cook a meal in the food pantry. Other opportunities include going to Great Circle, which is in St. James, and cleaning up the grounds there, and that's kind of like a youth, like a home for wayward youth. And then there's lots of other opportunities. For instance, packaging for food, packaging food at the GRACE, which is the Greater Rolla Area Community Enterprise. So there's lots of opportunities like that. And if you have any more desire to know about that, just please put in the chat.
Can I speak for a moment about my personal experiences? Cool. Okay, so I have done both Martin Luther King Jr. Day once and Gonzo Gives Back Day of Service once. And one of the times I went to a local theater. I cannot for the life of me remember its name right now. But we like painted downstairs for them because they had just recently renovated, and they just, they were completely volunteer based, and they needed help just getting everything looking nicer for when they had shows during the summer. So that's what I did when I went there the first time. And then the second time, I organized it with my sorority and another fraternity. We went back to help them with, we actually ended up doing some electrical wiring, which is interesting. Not quite what we expected, but still very fun, and just cleaned and helped them put away Christmas decorations. And then the other time I did, we went to one of the nature centers nearby, and we just did some basic like raking, getting like roots and weeds and stuff out to like prepare their beds for when they would plant stuff. But like Caden said, there's also like inside options if you're not wanting to go outside, especially for Gonzo Gives Back Day of Service. Sometimes it's cold or snowy. So you can opt to just like put a bag together or make cookies to give to local law enforcement officers, stuff like that. But there's plenty of options. There's around 15 organizations in the area that we can like pick from to do stuff with, and you're usually assigned one. So it's pretty cool.
All right, thank you. Is there more than one Christian group, or are they all connected or a part of the Christian Campus Fellowship?
They are separate. So Christian Campus Fellowship is definitely the largest campus ministry that you're going to find on campus. That's, I think, primarily because it's more non-denominational. So it just has like a really broad reach. They do a lot of stuff. I'm sure Dalton can talk about all the programming that they do. A lot of us still go to CCF things, even if we are involved in another campus organization, like faith organization. And you'll kind of see that overlap sometimes with a lot of them. But we also have like the Baptist Student Union. There's like everything that we're listing here. They're all separate, but we do work together a lot. Actually this year, I think we're doing it again. We've had like multi-ministry events. So like this year we're doing a concert on campus with like CCF and crew, and the BSU is going to be involved. So it's really cool to see the faith-based organizations come together like that.
Yeah, definitely. To go off Caitlin a little bit, I know Christian Campus Fellowship is a larger one. I think a big part of that too is that we always do outreach as well. So like on Friday nights, we always do Friday night fellowship, and where we get together with each other just to kind of hang out and get to know each other a little bit better. But we'll also invite other organizations to get involved as well. So that way we can kind of reach out to other prospective students and really just get to know each other. To bounce off a little bit on the last question with the activities and stuff, there's always an array of activities to do that are service-based, and a lot of them come up last minute too. It's really just based on the need of the community. There are times where I've helped move people from one house to another because they needed to. And so that was volunteer based. And then there's times where we had organized events where we would go sing Christmas carols to nursing homes. So there's really a lot of different things that you can get involved in.
How do you get involved in these different service activities and opportunities that are not maybe tied to your specific organization or group that you're a member of?
I think it's generally like really easy to get involved. During opening week is when a lot of our faith-based organizations will have like a lot of outreach events for freshmen. So I know CCF does stuff, the BSU does stuff opening week. And if you're unfamiliar with opening week, that's going to be as a freshman, you're going to come in a week before classes start. And it's going to be a week like just about freshmen. And there's going to be a lot of cool activities and stuff. So a lot of our faith organizations have events during that week. We also have our organization fairs, Minorama, we call it, which is basically where all of our campus organizations line up, and you can kind of talk to people within that organization and get on their email lists and things like that. So just, you know, find out about those events, head to Minorama, and in general, pretty much any faith-based organization is going to be super happy to have you.
I'll also add that the Student Involvement Office will put on a specifically service and volunteerism fair as well. And that generally happens about once a semester, and that will expose you to all sorts of the charitable enterprises in the Raleigh area. So they'll have people from the mission, they'll have people from the local animal shelters if animals are more your thing. One thing I think is really cool is that in a town like right outside of Raleigh, that's smaller, in Newburgh, they have an old, I shouldn't say old, but natural history museum that is, you can tell it's been there for a while, and they are always looking for help, and it's the coolest thing ever too. So that's a plug for that if you are looking for opportunities in Raleigh.
Another way that we find out, or at least I find out, is my department, civil and architectural. I'll get emails sometimes about different events that are going on, not necessarily on the faith-based organizations, but in service in general, of opportunities to volunteer in the community. So you can definitely look at your email and see what opportunities are available. But I know civil and architectural at least does have an organized list.
Yeah, absolutely, Dalton. I will say that I went to one of those volunteerism fairs and talked to the lady that runs the Greater Raleigh Area Community Enterprise, and I'm on her email list, and you can email other students' email addresses, and she'll add them. She doesn't have a problem with that. So yeah, it's a good way going straight to the organization if you would prefer that. That's always a good option. While I'm talking, I saw a question that maybe didn't get answered. Is there a Methodist service or church nearby? There is. That one's about a block from campus as well. So I think that's pretty cool. Like what Catherine was saying about St. Patrick's Catholic Church. Like a lot of churches are really close to Raleigh, or really close to the campus. So they're really convenient, really accessible. You know where they are. And then the student group that goes with the Methodist Church, that's actually Geeks for God. It's not quite like, it doesn't have like a name like a Baptist Student Union, but it's affiliated with the Methodist Church. So there's a lot of organizations. Like the Assembly of God Church has a group that's associated with it. So just about every Christian denomination and lots of other religions you'll find have a you know, an organization associated with them on campus.
All right, thanks, Caden. What are some of the typical small group topics?
With Christian Campus Fellowship anyways, I feel like they're very broad. Usually every semester, students will become leaders and they will choose a topic to go off of. Some of it's maybe navigating your life at S&T and kind of figuring out your next step and really growing your relationship with God a little bit further. Some of them are even just going over to the text, maybe studying Romans, for instance, and just reading through it and going week by week and figuring out what's on there. So it really just depends. There's a huge range.
And then just to bounce off of that, so the Baptist Student Union, specifically my experience, we also have some really great small groups. We have like a men's group and a women's group. We're a little bit smaller, so ours are really broad. But we also have small groups that aren't necessarily like sitting down in a circle and like reading the Bible, which is really great, and you should do that. But we also have like hiking small groups and like a service group specifically that organizes service events that they do every week. So we have a lot of like interest small groups too. So you might find those.
All right, the next question is about fraternity life, which I think by just so happens none of you are in a fraternity, but I think somebody can, oh yeah, Audrey's in a sorority. Okay, good. Fraternity life, and maybe sorority life too, has a certain reputation. Are the fraternities compatible with the Christian lifestyle?
So I can't speak for all fraternities, but I can speak for like myself and my sorority. I've found that I'm able to do both. Like I'm still able to participate in CCF stuff. I don't have anything that like interferes with my faith necessarily. And I'm also able to do a ton of service through my sorority. Like nobody's judgmental about me going to church. I've had like friends and roommates in my sorority who were looking for rides to church. I also know plenty of people in other fraternities or sororities who are also involved in the different faith-based organizations or go to church regularly, stuff like that. So I don't find a problem with it. And I know a lot of people who do both. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
And,
Go ahead, Catherine.
oh, sorry about that. And then I can't speak for some of the other faiths as well, but I know the Catholic Church will have different masses at some of the different fraternity and sorority houses at various times. Still try and make sure that they also have things there in addition to at the Newman Center. And I think some of the other groups, CCF, also does similar things.
Yeah, so Christian Campus Fellowship, we actually do outreach events with other groups. So I know at one fraternity, we always do an ice cream social in the spring, which is really nice. I actually really love getting involved with that, just getting to make new connections. They also do invite them over for Friday night fellowship as well. So that's a really good way to connect and kind of reach out to other people.
Yeah, I was just going to echo what Audrey said from like more the male perspective. Like it's totally possible to do both. When you rush a fraternity, just make sure that you ask those questions about if they have an active portion of their group in faith organizations, or if that's compatible, or if that seems like it's an important part of their values as a house. So just make sure to check that out, but it's totally possible.
All right. I have at least one more question here. What are the options for the Christian housing on campus?
So I know Christian Campus Fellowship does have a men's and a women's house. How you get involved with that is really just reaching out. I know there's a website that you can go to, reach out to the basically the head of the housing, and then you'll be able to put in an application, and there is an interview process. You'll go in for an interview, just talk about your faith, talk about your life a little bit, and get a little bit of a background. And then they'll either accept you if they have room. Typically they do, at least for the spring. For the fall, it's usually a little tighter just because it is a new semester with new freshmen coming in. But yeah, there is a little bit of a process, but they are really great at communicating and really reaching out and telling you what to expect and what to really look for.
All right, thank you. So I think we have answered all of the questions so far. I will pause here for just a moment to see if we have one or two more come through. We have 5 or so more minutes if anyone would like to ask any additional questions. Here we go. Good. Got one more came through. And maybe I think Catherine, right? This might be for you. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Newman Center and how many people and students are involved?
Of course. So this semester, or this past year, has been a little bit weird because we don't get to see as many people around because of COVID. But we've got probably about 50 pretty active members. We've got other people that we'll see now and again. Of course, anyone's welcome, and we're happy to have anyone who wants to come over. We will do, like I said earlier, Mass on Wednesday night and Sunday night. We'll also have typically some kind of a video series on Monday, and then Thursdays we'll have a theology night of some type, talking about different topics. It kind of varies by semester based on what people want to present on. We have a variety of Bible studies also associated with the group. Otherwise, the Newman Center is building it as a house just off campus, and there's always different things going on there. People will go over and do homework there, play games there. We've got a chapel there that people will spend time with as well. In addition to retreats, we'll have other service opportunities as well. Every year we'll go and I'll go around to different, typically older members of the community, and do a rake and run and rake their yards. We also do another kind of unique service event, which is woodcuts, which is we'll go and chop wood for members of the Rolla community who have wood burning stoves and otherwise wouldn't really be able to have wood to last through the winter. And a variety of other things through that. We'll have game nights pretty often, and just all kinds of different fun activities.
Thanks, Catherine. Do any groups, do any of you know if any groups besides the BSU have international mission opportunities?
So I know CCF does have an international opportunity, but it's typically through Ridgeview Church, which is one of the local churches that CCF does a lot of events with. But a lot of the church typically funds the trip. So yes, it's kind of with CCF, and that's how a lot of students get involved, but it's not necessarily CCF. Other students can do the trip if they go to Ridgeview Church.
Yes, I know that Campus Crusade for Christ, some students in that organization got to go to East Asia. Let's see, they try to take a trip every year, but last year, of course, COVID. So I think it would have been the summer of 2020 they got to go over to East Asia. So that was, or no, summer of 2019 they got to go over to East Asia. So that was a really awesome trip, they said. And they didn't have to pay for anything. They just had to pay half of their plane ticket. That was the only cost that they had. But all their food, housing, that was all taken care of. So lots of great opportunities.
Yeah, I was thinking the minor challenge during spring break, is that what it's called? Usually they are mostly doing their trips in the US, but sometimes in non-COVID times, there's been one international trip sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's every other year, I think they do an international trip. So they have like 4 like domestic trips within the US, and then they have one that's international.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we will end our session right here then. Thank you to our current S&T students for participating, and thank you all for joining us to hear about the faith and service organizations at S&T. If you have specific questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the Office of Admissions for for follow-up or for more information, or we can connect you with groups on campus. And then I saw a question come through about the recording. Yes, this is recorded. We do typically try to push these out, but if you don't see it, feel free to send the admissions office an email and I can get this to you. So if you do need to reach the admissions office, it's just admissions@mst.edu, or you can call us. But anyway, thank you all so very much. Have a great night and stay warm.